All right, so I think we all know that you're busy and you've got deadlines and all that. So we're going to cut right to the chase and jump into something that can actually make a difference in your workflow. And we're going to talk about shortcut commands.
Ah, yes, shortcut
These
commands.
are like secret sauce.
Yeah, they're like the secret codes, that unlock a whole nother level of speed and efficiency. I mean,
That's a good way to put it.
this is stuff
It
that,
really is.
if you're serious about design, you really got to know these shortcuts.
Yeah, a lot of people think that AutoCAD is all about clicking through these menus and toolbars, but what they don't realize is that there's this whole world of shortcuts that can make you like insanely fast.
Yeah, it's like having a hidden turbo boost.
It is. It's a turbo boost
Yeah.
for your design work.
So we're not just going to tell you we're going to tell you why they matter to you.
Yeah.
And we'll even get into how you can customize those shortcuts.
That's the fun part.
That's where you can really get in there and start making the software work for you instead of the other way around.
Imagine AutoCAD just bending to your will, just like
exactly.
that's pretty cool.
It is.
All right. So let's start with the basics. What are these magical shortcuts we're talking about?
So basically, they're keyboard combinations or aliases that can execute commands instantly. So let's say, for example, you want to draw a line. Instead of going up to the menu and clicking the line tool, you just type L and hit enter and boom, you're ready to draw your line.
Wow. So you're like speaking AutoCAD's language.
Got it. And the more you speak that language, the faster you can communicate your ideas and get things done.
So it's not just about like saving a few seconds here or there. It's about like freeing up your brain to think creatively.
Yeah, it's like the difference between meticulously painting every brick on a building versus using a tool that stamps out a whole row at once. You get the job done faster and you have more time and mental energy to focus on the overall design and the artistry.
That makes a lot of sense. So it's not just about working faster, it's about working smarter.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's get down to the nitty-gritty. What are some of the like essential shortcuts that everybody should know?
Okay, well, there are a few that you'll use all the time, like L for line, C for circle. Those are your bread and butter.
Okay.
Then you've got M for mover, CO for copy, and E for erase. I mean, these are like your everyday workhorses. They're going to save you tons of time on just basic tasks.
And I'm mixing there are some for viewing and drawing as well. I mean, zooming in and out, that's got to be a pain to go back to the menu.
Oh, yeah. Z for zoom is essential. Just Z by itself activates the zoom tool. But you can also do ZA to see the entire drawing or ZP to zoom to a specific area.
Oh, so you've got options.
Oh, yeah.
You're not just stuck with like the basic zoom. That's really cool. Okay, those are some pretty practical ones. But I got to admit, I'm really intrigued by this whole customizing shortcuts thing. Is it really possible to make your own?
Oh, absolutely. And that's when it gets fun. AutoCAD lets you create what are called aliases for commands that you use all the time. So let's say there's this super complex command that you use constantly. You can just create a quick little shortcut that's way easier to remember.
Oh, wow. So how do you do that? Where do you even begin?
So it's in the Customize User Interface Editor. It's
Right.
also known as CUI. It might be a little hidden, but once you find it, it's like having your own shortcut workshop. And you can go in there and assign any keyboard combination to any command.
Oh, that sounds awesome. Yeah, I can already imagine making shortcuts for all kinds of stuff. But I'm also thinking, like, if everybody's making their own custom shortcuts, doesn't that make it hard to work with other people? Like, what if you share a drawing with somebody and they've got totally different shortcuts?
That's a great question, and it's definitely something to think about. The key is to strike a balance between personalization and collaboration. You want to create shortcuts that make you more efficient, but you also want to be mindful of how those shortcuts might affect other people who need to work with your files.
So maybe you have your own, like, super specific shortcuts that you use when you're working by yourself.
Right.
But when you're collaborating, you stick to the standard ones that everybody knows.
Exactly. It's about being adaptable and understanding the context of your work.
I like that. This is already making me rethink my whole approach to AutoCAD.
Yeah.
But I gotta be honest, thinking about learning all these shortcuts feels a little overwhelming. Where do you even start?
Start small. Don't try to memorize everything at once. Just focus on the commands that you use most often and master those first.
So like pick the low-hanging fruit.
Exactly. The ones that are going to have the biggest impact on your day-to-day work. And once you get comfortable with those, you can gradually expand your repertoire. It's like learning a language. You wouldn't try to memorize the entire dictionary on day one.
Right.
You start with basic phrases and build up from there.
All right, that makes me feel a lot better. So we've talked about what shortcuts are and why they're so valuable. But how do you actually make those shortcuts stick in your brain? I mean, sure, I could look at a list, but how do I go from knowing them to using them without even thinking?
That's the million-dollar question, and that's what we're going to dive into next. There are some really cool strategies for making shortcuts a natural part of your workflow, almost like second nature.
All right, I'm ready. Let's unlock those secrets.
Let's do it. It's kind of like learning to ride a bike.
Oh, yeah.
At first, you're all wobbly and unsure, but
Mhm.
with practice, it just becomes so ingrained, you don't even have to think about it.
And I bet it feels amazing when you get to that point with AutoCAD shortcuts.
Oh, it does.
It's like you're fluent in this new language.
It really is. So one of the best ways to get there is through visualization.
Visualization.
Yeah. Just close your eyes and actually picture yourself typing the shortcut.
Yeah.
See the command happening on the screen. It might sound weird, but it really works.
So you're like making this mental movie of the shortcut in action.
Exactly. And the more you play that movie in your mind, the stronger that connection becomes.
I like that. And I'm guessing patience is key too, right? You're not going to become a shortcut master overnight.
Definitely not. It takes time and it takes consistent effort. But don't get discouraged. I mean, everybody learns at their own pace.
Yeah, you got to embrace the process.
Exactly. And one thing that can really help is to use cheat sheets.
Cheat sheets.
Yeah, just print out a list of the most common shortcuts or the ones you're working on and keep it visible while you're working.
So it's like having training wheels while you're learning.
Exactly. And as you get more comfortable, you can gradually wean yourself off the cheat sheet. And don't be afraid to get creative with them. Use colors, diagrams, whatever helps you remember those shortcuts.
I've even heard of people putting sticky notes on their keyboards to remind them.
Yeah, whatever works, right?
Whatever works.
The point is to find what works best for you and your learning style.
This is starting to click for me now.
Yeah.
It's not just about memorizing a bunch of keystrokes. It's about understanding the logic behind them.
Exactly. You're building a mental model of AutoCAD where shortcuts are the primary language.
And I bet that unlocks a whole new level of efficiency.
It really does. When you're not constantly hunting for commands and menus, you can just focus on the design itself, on the problem you're trying to solve.
And get in that flow state.
Exactly. It's like the difference between writing a novel longhand versus typing it on a computer. The tool itself can either hinder or enhance your creative flow.
Now, that's a great analogy. And speaking of tools, I'm curious to hear more about this whole balance between personalizing shortcuts and collaborating with others.
Oh yeah, that's super important. Customizing shortcuts is great for individual productivity, but you also got to be mindful of teamwork and compatibility issues.
And how do you navigate that?
Well, one approach is to establish a shared set of core shortcuts within your team. The essential commands that everyone uses frequently.
So kind of like a shared vocabulary?
Exactly. And then individuals can build upon that foundation with their own personalized shortcuts for specific tasks or workflows. It's about finding that sweet spot between individual efficiency and team cohesion.
I like that. So it allows for personal expression, but also shared understanding.
Absolutely. It's all about creating a system that supports both individual and collective success.
This is making me realize that shortcuts are more than just a time-saving trick. They're really about developing a deeper relationship with the software.
That's a great way to put it. It's about understanding its nuances and harnessing its power to unlock your full creative potential.
So it's not just about efficiency, it's about empowerment.
Yes. It gives you the freedom to design without limitations.
I like that.
You can let your ideas flow naturally.
It's like a key that unlocks a hidden door in your mind,
I love that analogy.
leading to unlimited creative possibilities.
That's beautiful.
I mean, I came into this thinking it was going to be all about memorizing keystrokes.
I know, right?
It's really about design thinking and creative potential.
And that's the beauty of it. Shortcuts are more than just a technical skill. They're a gateway to a deeper understanding of design itself.
Wow. I'm feeling really inspired to go back and rethink my whole workflow. Play around with shortcuts and see what happens.
I think you're going to be amazed by what you discover. The possibilities are truly endless.
This has been an amazing deep dive.
It has.
I know I'm walking away with a whole new perspective on AutoCAD and on design in general.
I'm glad to hear that.
Hopefully everybody listening is too.
Me too.
But before we get too carried away, there's one more aspect of shortcuts I think we should touch on. We've talked about the technical side, the practical tips, the mental shifts.
Right.
But there's also this psychological component to the whole thing.
Ah, yes. The mental game of efficiency and mastery.
Because it's not enough to just know the shortcuts. You have to embrace them, make them a natural part of your design thinking.
Right. It's about training your brain to think in shortcuts, to anticipate the commands you'll need and execute them effortlessly.
It's like developing a sixth sense for AutoCAD.
It is.
And that's what we're going to explore in our final segment.
Stay tuned, folks. We're about to unlock the secrets of the shortcut.